So what the CAT does, it stands for Kinesthetic Awareness Training, is it helps correct the model in real time. So if you'll never have to say again to your coach, I am doing that. Or look at yourself on video and say, I thought I was doing that. So that's the essence of the product. It's corrective vibrations through the sensors determined by a coach or an expert.
Hi, and welcome to the Awakening series, where we bring brilliant minds together. My name is Kimberly Archuleta, and today we have an amazing guest. I am just wowed by this woman, Dr. Jo SHATTUCK. Dr. Jo, am I saying that properly?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Dr. Jo's easier, but yeah.
All right. Well, Dr. Jo is a former professional athlete turned neuroscientist and entrepreneur. The company PantherTec and Kinesthetic Awareness Training systems are products of her time as a world-ranked racket pro, coaching career, and experience in academia. So PANTHER stands for Principles of Athletics and Neuroscience Toward Human Expertise. The patented CAT system offers inclusive vibrations through the use of augmented sensory feedback delivered via wearable sensors for use in sport and rehab to correct human movement. And when I met you just a couple weeks ago at the Denver Startup Week, I was so wowed by what you had there. You had the whole entire system, with sensors and all, and your phone, everything was hooked up as far as like the proper movements in regards to sports. Doc, if you can just give us some insight on this amazing product.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be in the Awakening series. So I like when people call me brilliant. I think I'm in good company with you. Yes. So the product is basically a wearable sensor controlled by a phone. You can do one or two or three sensors, however many, and it provides vibrations through the sensor itself to help you move better. And if you think about, I don't know if I'm doing this right. I just got this tennis lesson and I'm home and I'm practicing, or I hurt my knee and I'm in therapy and they told me how to do it, but I don't know if I'm doing it right. And maybe I was, and now I don't know. It's a problem called kinesthetic awareness, which is the lack of knowing. Kinesthetic awareness is knowing where your body is in time and space. Have you ever tripped up a curb, Kimberly?
Many times.
Okay. So when you do that, for example, your brain moves your body around in the earth and the world based on a model it makes from all your sensory input. If you ever tripped up a curb, aside from all the neuroscience attention variables there could be, it could be that your model of where the curb was in the world was wrong, or your model of where your foot was in the world was wrong. Whenever you learn motor learning or learn to do a skill, the model has to be accurate or the movement's not accurate. So what the CAT does, it stands for Kinesthetic Awareness Training, is it helps correct the model in real time. So if you'll never have to say again to your coach, I am doing that. Or look at yourself on video and say, I thought I was doing that. So that's the essence of the product. It's corrective vibrations through the sensors determined by a coach or an expert.
And what was cool about it is that you gave me this little vibration piece, and you said this is what the vibration feels like. And everybody knows that little silver thing when you shake somebody's hand, it goes,
oh yeah,
and you feel that little small vibration. It's like, oh my gosh, what was that? That was so cute, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
And I was like, so I had been, using it to feel that vibration. So what we're going to do is feel that vibration throughout wherever the sensors are. When we're looking at the camera and seeing what movements are incorrect, which is, so many movements are incorrect. We just have this pattern and we're just, it's a habitual thing that we've been doing, and it may be okay, but what you're talking about is it's not your ideal, optimum stance.
Right. And even better, you don't need the camera to do it. So right now you can close your eyes. You can look at your phone and walk around your house because you know where your furniture is and your stairs and your door, right? So you don't need your eyes to know where you're moving, right? And the reason you saw the camera is because I wanted to display the app on the screen. So you don't need a camera. You do this and this. This is it. This is the whole thing. You can take it to the field, to the tennis court, to the soccer pitch, practice whatever you want without having to have essentially a motion capture lab. So we call it motion capture and correction.
Wow. And
Yeah.
this goes for football. This goes for, is this like every sport?
Multiple sports. And let me tell you this, Kimberly, one of the questions I get was, how does it know what to do? And my response is, it doesn't know. It's a tool. It's a tool that your coach knows. And then I get the question, how does your coach know how to use it on me? And I say, well, how does your coach know now? And nothing's changed. You still use your experience, your knowledge of biomechanics and the body and personality and all that stuff, instead of words and metaphors and look at this image of yourself to help you move better. I'm going to put this on you. It's going to beep and vibrate. So essentially you can replicate the movement that your coach wants you to do. And that's different than all the other sensors out there, that some of them have an algorithm that say, this is the way to move in this spot, in this situation, but they're very specific. These you can wear anywhere. And again, they're determined by the instructor, by the expert.
Right. I love this. Okay. So I guess my next question would be, as far as the product goes, what is your target age range and group, I guess?
Oh, excellent question. So there really is no range. There's a lot of development being a neuroscientist. There's a lot of athletic development windows that occur as you're growing up. And so you actually, an athlete or even just a non-athlete person will learn how to move their bodies through the world as they change. They get older and taller and skinnier and fatter as they grow older, right? And that's part of a coach knowing what to fix when, right? So at this point, there's no age limit. Right now, we have our first clinical trial in a neuro rehab center. As you can imagine, a lot of those people are older. And so anybody that moves, that wants to either maintain a movement pattern or change a movement pattern, this will work. So there's really no demographic. Now, our customers are movement educators, clinicians, coaches, physical therapists to use with their clients and athletes.
That's amazing. That's so smart. I can only see this like helping so many people.
We think so too.
Absolutely. So how, as far as the patent goes, I mean, how did you think about, how did this come to be? How did this evolve? Like what happened? Where were you? Was it an epiphany? What was going on?
It almost was. So I played racquetball for 25 years. I was ranked top 10 in the world for 10 years, peaked at number 6. And there's no money. So all of us on the tour had to do other things. Some people had day jobs or, accountants or nurses or whatever. I coached at the Denver Athletic Club. And my students would fly in from wherever they were to do 6 days, 2 sessions a day, and then they'd fly back home and practice. So we did 2 days, 6 days. And when they'd come back, oftentimes they would lose some of the momentum they had gained when they were practicing. And I became sort of a stroke expert in my sport because I'm little and I started late. I didn't have those development windows that I was explaining earlier within the specific sport. So anyway, so I wish there was a way to capture my instruction and have the athlete be able to capture the correct sensation of whatever movement pattern I wanted to change and take it with them. And so it was just like, right now we teach with words and metaphors and what I said before, and nothing ever did that. So just kind of in my head, I was like, I wish there was a way to capture this. 9 years later, because I built the first one at the little kid's electronic kit on my coffee table.
Wow.
9 years later, we're here in the lab. We're just started seeking funding. So that's the story, is I wish you could capture a sensation to be able to replicate it, because that's ultimately what's required for motor learning.
I think so many of us have these epiphanies, these thoughts, but the fact that you took it to another level and actually built it with, the little electric or the kit that you had, and just to play and to see and to feel that sensor. And I'm sure each moment was like, oh, I could change this. I could do this. And, how exciting in that moment.
Kinda. Yeah, it was. This is an early version. You can imagine wearing this on your arm when you're trying to do stuff, right?
That's so cool.
It got a little smaller with this, and then finally now it's a little bit better. So
that's amazing. It's perfect. And as far as the future in regards to sports and technology, you brought this particular piece, and like you said, you just made it so much smaller. What do you see in regards to the technology and combined with sports going forward?
Oh man, it's unlimited. So here's a quick, I could talk for hours on this. Yeah. I know we have limited time, but all the other sensors out there, great data, which is great. You have to have data to make a decision. And then use all the data points you need to make a decision about what to do with your athlete. At some point, the athlete's going to need to know what you decide and going to need to feel and replicate whatever change you make or not make or maintain, right? That's where we come in. However, technology, there's so many things you can measure. And in our field, with our technology, with our patented product, if you can measure it, you can train it in real time. We're talking eye movement, force plate, asymmetrical walking or running, even muscle activation. So we have in our prototype, we have a prototype of a feedback based on muscle activation in real time without having to be, in a lab. So you can imagine if you're hitting a baseball and you're winding up and you're in the right spot, but your core isn't activated or your glutes aren't activated, that's poor kinesthetic awareness, right?
Absolutely.
So you train different things at different times as a normal skill progression goes, and the technology, that's how I describe it. You can measure it, you can train it with our patent.
You can measure it and you can train it. I love that. I played softball since I was 5 to 18, and I was the best pitcher.
Okay.
And I knew there were some tweaks I could have made that could have helped me out. Although we won almost every single game, we did lose the biggest game of, our last game, all of us. And I felt like, it was me because I don't know, it was my pitching. I guess I psyched myself out, right? But there were so many tweaks I know I could have made, and because you're practicing all day, every day as a little kid, right? That's your passion. So if I would have had this back then, if our team would have had this back then, I mean, oh my gosh.
That's what we get. I wish I would have had this, and I wish I would have had it.
Right?
I mean, now I retired 10 years ago from the Pro Tour.
Wow, that's so
absolutely.
Cool. Absolutely. As far as your career and your professional development, what can you give us a little bit more insight on, like, say, for example, what you're doing, what you see for the future, but also just really, I know you gave us some insight on how you grew, but do you have a team? Just a little bit more about you.
So racquetball is an individual sport. It's like the redheaded stepchild that doesn't get any money, but people live in campers to support their racquetball habit, like I did. But it's highly skilled, highly technical, highly controlled, and so most of and it's very fitness based too, right? It's like squash, but it's more technical than, say, long distance running, which is technical for a long time, but in different ways. It's 360 degrees. It's multi-joint, multi-plane, multi-speed. It's an awesome sport. If you haven't tried it, it's racquetball. But anyway, I forgot the question.
Oh, just as far as what you've done to develop to get to this point in time, did you use your money to create the?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So this was made with graduate school nickels, what I call it. So I cashed out my retirement and took a loan on some life insurance, and essentially where we are now, we finished a friend and family round of about $100,000. And so now we're just started our first. We're going to go out and get some real development capital money. But up until last year, we opened our lab the month, like March 6th, which, if you remember, that was the week before the country shut down and then the world shut down because of COVID. So timing wasn't great on when we rented the lab, but we're still here. And it was all just anytime I had an extra few bucks, I hired some student engineer to teach me this or help me with that or whatever. So
I love, this is the brilliance. I'm telling you, the brilliance, the determination, you do what you do to do what you need to do to get to where you need to go. And I feel you. I have 3 companies and I've done the same thing,
really
little by little, pushing. And you have to, and that's how you change. A lot of people don't want to do the smaller things, or maybe they're afraid, right? They're afraid to possibly do them because it's a big undertaking, because it usually is bigger than we think. Let's be honest. It usually is. But that's what makes you grow and evolve and learn. And like you said, you were able to learn from the students even. And I love this story.
Do you want to hear a confession?
Yes.
So you see this is one of the prototypes, and there's some lights here, right there. So those are not lights. Those are little dimples that Dr. Joe went and got some fingernail polish and put a little toothpick of the red, the yellow, the green, and the blue, because I wanted to have a realistic looking prototype, even though it was 3D printed. So humble beginnings, big aspirations. We think that anyone that moves, everyone in the world moves. Motor learning it's perpetual your whole life, and it's ubiquitous. Everybody does it, from when you're learning to crawl to learning to walk with a walker. I also think, and I'll throw this in, kinesthetic awareness is underappreciated, and it's not taught. It's just picked up, like social skills, or, I mean, imagine if math or reading was like that. So when you have a body, you need to learn how to use your body just as if you need to learn how to use your brain. And I'm hoping that this device will, on a global scale, help people learn better, not only to be better at their craft, but also to recover better from injury. So it's kind of two, big goals, but I would love to see that happen.
Dr. Joe, I do not see it happen. It's going to happen. What you're doing is amazing for people, especially people, like you said, with rehabilitation needs, older people, things that can really correct and help them live a better life. So you are amazing. I am so excited. So what next with this product? Where can people get it once it's, on the market?
Yes. So we're going to do a little bit of online distribution, a little bit of direct sales. Essentially, it'll be ask your personal trainer or your physical therapist for the cat if that clinic doesn't already have it. We're also, two of our other verticals are military, tactical, vocational, and actually space training. We actually had a couple initial conversations with somebody that works at SpaceX. And then licensing. So there's a lot of gadgets already that do a very specific thing, teach you how to specifically do golf, or fix your, like an insole, for example, or fix the way you hold your boxing gloves, right? Some of those devices we think would be rocketed to the top of their niche field if they had feedback, right? So our 4 verticals are sport, rehab, training outside of sport, so military, tactical, space, and then licensing. So with that broad thing, we think one of those, 1 or 2 of those would be enough to support the business to get into a lot of other areas.
Absolutely. There's just so many areas that this can go in. And you told me a ton that I didn't even think about. So like, wow, so many verticals. Not that many companies have that many verticals. I think you're doing really well here.
I think so too. And then I don't know how much time we have, but and the astronaut thing, I'll just tell you real quick. How we know that we're sitting down and we feel the weight of our chair on our butt and the earth and all that, that's all proprioceptive information that we get from our senses on Earth. The astronauts in space, they don't have access to that same information. It's like 1/10 of it is. So 2 of the biggest problems in space are muscle atrophy, and the other is lack of proprioception, which is kinesthetic awareness. So right now, a lot of time is spent by the astronauts doing exercises and movement to maintain that so they can still walk when they get back to Earth. And this is for the 6-month astronauts, not the Bezos and the Elon Musks that go up. But anyway, that's huge, because simple as well as the app and a sensor, we think can free them up to do other important things and make them better. So it's really exciting. Anything that moves, we're all about it.
Well, and how does anybody, like, a normal human being even think about how the ratio of weight to the back to the hips to the, the whole 9 in space? Like, we don't really think about that. Obviously they have to. And this data, this information, the points, the sensory is just so brilliant to bring that. Wow.
Thank you. Do you want to do a little test with me?
Yes.
So take your arm out, close your eyes, and close your eyes and take a really wide path like this, path, and touch your nose, but close your eyes. Touch the very tip of your nose. You went on the side, didn't you?
I did.
Okay, now fix it. That's what the cat does.
Wow.
It says, wait, I didn't know I was here. Now with this extra input, oh, I'm here. And if you do it again, do it again. You did right on, didn't you?
I did.
Okay, so that's seconds of this recalibration of kinesthetic awareness with a simple alertness, a simple attention to here. Awareness of where my finger is. That's what this does on a scale for multiple movements.
I literally just got the chills. I mean, because that sensory is just like, you're learning on the job, you're doing it. And that's how, the 70-20-10 model works, where 70% of what you're learning is not, reading and mentorship. It's on the job, feeling, touching. And so 70% is, that's how we learn best whenever we're doing whatever it is that we're doing, as far as a job or career or whatever. So that pattern break, like the fact that I just broke that little pattern of me probably not doing that properly every single time, and then you showing me how to do it properly is like, I mean, I'll never forget that.
Yeah. But I mean, the cool part is, Kimberly, is I didn't do it. You did it. Your finger was here. You realized, oh, that's not the tip of my nose. And you fixed it. And that's all. It's not rocket science. It's an elegant solution that lives in a sensor that can be used by anyone that moves. That's the idea.
That is so brilliant. That is so cool. Doc, where can we find you via website or LinkedIn, or, where are you social media wise?
Awesome. Yes. Yes. So we've started our social media presence about 2 years ago when we opened the lab. I'm a master's in sports science and a PhD in neuroscience. So I'm in all the nerd fingers of Twitter and LinkedIn and all that. But the website is panthertec.net and PANTHERTEC.net. There's no H on the net. And I love how you remembered principles of athletics and neuroscience towards human expertise.net. You can also find Dr. Joe Shattuck on LinkedIn as well.
Okay, perfect. And you're in Colorado, right?
I'm in Colorado. And if you want to see some really cheesy 20-year-old instructional videos on YouTube about how to play racquetball when I was like 20, you can just Google Joe Shattuck racquetball and I'll be embarrassed for you.
That's so cute. I love that you kept them on there. Thank you.
Yeah. No, it wasn't me. It's on there. It's called ehow.com, but it's on there. But anyway.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I am just so thankful for you. I'm so excited to see what is in store for you the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Oh my gosh. Maybe soon we can have coffee or something. I'm not too far away from you. I'd love to see the lab, but thank you for all that you do. And thank you for your humble beginnings and just being determined and passionate and knowing that this is going to work. I love your belief and your journey. It's just amazing.
Well, thank you. And I did some homework on you as well. And I've listened to a couple of Awakening series and I appreciate what you're doing here. And there's not enough of motivation shouldn't have to be hidden. It should just be out in the world, and people like you bring it out for others to feed off of it. So I appreciate what you're doing a lot.
Oh, that makes me happy. Thank you, Doc. I appreciate it. It's been such a pleasure. Looking forward to seeing great things.
Awesome. See you next time. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.